All right, let's move on to cloud native. Let's move on to cloud native. Um, Big focus on observability through the implementation of Open Telemetry and their partnership there, and also building in libraries for resiliency and scalability and manageability. When it comes to like resiliency, some of the examples are just auto retries to databases, auto retries to web services. The .NET team is giving libraries that you can use to orchestrate connections to outside systems that will just give you policies out of the box that you can kind of just turn on and not have to think about uh, auto retries or what to do if it fails for 10 times in a row, and you can always implement the circuit breaker pattern on your own, but there's these libraries that are popping up that implement these patterns that have proven beneficial in the cloud world, so that every application developer doesn't have to personally implement the pattern. So that's going to be really great, give you a good time saver. So um, look, research and train your people on these new libraries, have them use it, make sure that they're not hand rolling a pattern that you can get for free just by pulling in a NuGet package. So if you're running a team, there's always been the not invented here syndrome, or just out of ignorance, I don't know something exists and so I hand roll it, or build versus buy and I elect to build everything myself. Custom code is the most expensive thing that we can do because it's tied directly to developer labor. And so if we select a architectural pattern and we think that's appropriate, then the next decision is asking ourselves, okay, can we get that pattern implemented in a very cost effective manner? And using a library that's pre-built to implement that pattern, of course, we would want to do that instead of having our own developers on the team hand roll an implementation of that pattern. So look at those libraries, look them up. Some of them, of course, listed on the screen, extensions.resilience. Health checks are another thing that's not new, but are with .NET 8, Microsoft is kind of elevating the status of that concept. And if you don't have health checks already in your systems, then the implementation is going to be really, really streamlined. But essentially, you need at least a minimum of one health check class per dependency of your application. And let me give you an example. If you have a if you have an application that calls out to a SQL server, well, that's one dependency. If you have it that calls out to a payment processor, two dependencies. If you have it call out to, let's say, Twilio for sending a text message, that's three dependencies. If you have it call out to a weather service to get the weather, that's always the easy example, right? That's the fourth dependency. You need a minimum of four health check classes because each one of them needs to write just a few lines of code to do a quick round trip across the wire to whatever that dependency is and make sure it's online, make sure it's happy, make sure we can connect to it, and then come back and report, yes, you're healthy. So we need to know that, okay, SQL Server's online, I can connect to it, it's happy. Twilio, I can get to that. The payment processor, I can get to that. The weather service, yep, I can get to that. And those are four health checks, but those together answer the question, after you deploy and of course on an ongoing basis. Hey, is this application fully online, fully connected, fully operational, fully healthy? And the biggest problem when an application goes down is not that somehow the lines of code in the central memory space start going wonky. No, it's that something outside of the main application process, and oftentimes something outside of the server that it's running on across the network, something has happened where I can't connect to it, or the the service on the other side of the wire, something's going on with it. And so um, health checks are just a library now. Extensions.diagnostics.healthchecks.common. And we did some content even implementing it in .NET 7, but it's even simpler now. And so architecturally, there's a big focus on making your software more reliable and more stable when it's running in its target environment. And so these are things that you want to equip your team with, and make sure that they're adopting them. Because if you don't, then either they're not going to know about it and not going to do it, or they're not going to know about it and they're going to want to do it, decide to do it, and then they're going to hand roll it themselves. And it's just going to be way too expensive and it's probably not going to be as good. Okay. So, all right. And there was a question that came up. I just answered it, but I'll say it again. Please give me some examples of these libraries. Where can they be found? They can be found on NuGet, and the names listed on the screen are literally the ones that you want to search NuGet for.